Hi guys, my name is Samantha, for those of you who are just tuning into Top Dog Tips. And I do lots of videos for our site, from product reviews and comparisons to how-to videos. This week I am here to make a how-to video about how to teach your dog to walk on a leash. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know that we have two adult dogs who are very well leash trained. So I wanted to try and show you our little dog Molly, who is having a lot of trouble with leash training. So I apologize in advance for the craziness that is sure to ensue in a few minutes. But for whatever reason, we have had Molly since she was a puppy. She has never had a bad experience on a leash. She just does not like to walk on a leash. She acts like she's completely terrified. So it's been a struggle, but we're working on it, and I'm going to walk you guys through the process today and try and help you teach your dog to walk on a leash. So the first thing you want to do is find a collar or a leash that fits, a collar or a harness that fits your dog. I prefer the harness, especially when you're beginning leash training, just because your dog might pull, and it's that, first of all, if your dog pulls, all the weight and the pressure is not on their neck. It's going to be distributed through the harness. And secondly, I prefer a harness because it gives you more control of your dog if your dog's wearing a harness. So I picked a harness, and if I can get Molly to stand up. Okay, you want some turkey? Hey, come here. Come here. Good girl. So you can see Molly's wearing her harness. She's also got a leash attached. Now, first thing you're going to want to do, I'm going to say if you get a harness, but you can obviously interchange that with a collar if you have a collar. If you get your harness or your collar and you want to let your dog wear it around the house, get very familiar and very comfortable with the harness before you attach a leash to it. And the reason for that is because you don't want to introduce too many things at the same time, or your dog's going to become very nervous about that, and it's going to be extra hard to teach them. So Molly is comfortable with her harness. It's for some reason the leash that freaks her out. So we have the harness, we're very comfortable with that. The second thing that you're going to need is some type of a treat that your dog is very interested in. Now, Molly is not super treat oriented, and she's also extremely stubborn for some reason about walking on a leash. So I brought out some turkey. I have turkey in a bag here because that's what motivated her the most. I tried to do it with some plain biscuit treats, and Molly was just not going to be motivated for those. So find something that your dog's interested in, even if it's some type of treat that they don't normally get. You can try it just for this purpose to highly motivate them. Once they get more comfortable on the leash, you can go back to their traditional treats. So I have the turkey here. The other thing that you can do to get your dog familiar with the leash, leave the leash out, let him have time to sniff it, look at it. Obviously, if he's a puppy and he's going to chew, this needs to be something that you're very careful with. Molly is used to the leash. We have let her sniff it. We have let her play with it. We have put it near her all the time. It's still a struggle. I don't know why. She is the hardest dog that we have ever had to leash train. So we're just gonna keep trying. One thing that I mention in all my training videos that you'll notice is patience. You need to be patient when training your dog to do anything, whether it's sit, stay, or walk on a leash. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's not something that's going to come very quickly. For most dogs, you may have a dog who, for some reason, it does come very quickly, and lucky you. Or you may get a Molly who's a lot more, sorry about that. We have a cat who is rubbing on my camera right now. Anyway, so you may have a dog like Molly who's just a little bit more stubborn and doesn't want anything to do with what you're trying to teach them. So patience is a virtue in this instance. And so again, we have let Molly see the leash. She's very comfortable with the leash. She's very comfortable with the harness. And this is what you want to do. Now, after your dog is comfortable, it's time to attach the leash. Most dogs are not scared of the leash. I don't know why Molly is. You can attach the leash, and if you're inside or if you have a nice big open yard, you can attach it where they have some space to move around a little bit, so that they see that once that leash is attached, they still are able to have their full range of motion and move around. And you can do that for a little while until your dog's comfortable with it. We have tried that with Molly. Molly refuses to move. When we put a leash on her, she just sits down. We have been trying this now. Molly is about 7 months old. So she's been with us for about 4 months, and 3 of those months we've been trying to do this. So it's just a really difficult process with Molly. I think she is going to be more of a pet carrier type dog than a leash walker, but we're still trying, we're persistent, and we're patient, and we're not giving up. So this is where we're gonna start trying to work with Molly, and this is where you would start trying to work with your dog. Once they're comfortable with the harness, comfortable with the leash, then you can move on to getting them to try and walk on a leash. And a lot of owners' first instinct is to clip it onto the harness. I know, you're being so good. You are being so good. Come here. Here, you guys sit up if you want it. Come on. There. So a lot of pet owners' first instinct, natural instinct, no, you need to stand up. We're not going to be silly. We're not being silly today. So a lot of pet owners think that they can just sort of tug their dog along while they call them. This is Molly. Sorry again. So a lot of dog owners think they can kind of tug and call and coax. It might work for you, but chances are that as soon as your dog feels that initial pull and feels a little bit of that resistance, they're not going to want to walk. It makes them nervous at first. And this is true for puppies as well as older dogs who don't have experience on a leash. So if you've adopted, like, say, a shelter dog or a rescue dog, and they're an adult and they just don't have experience on the leash, you're going to follow the same process, and you're probably going to get very similar results. Not results quite as bad as Molly, but you are going to get some resistance when you initially try and walk your dog. So you can try that. Come on, Molly. Come on. You want some turkey? Come on. And of course, it doesn't work with Molly. Most dogs, you can coax them into doing it. Molly, see, she would rather belly crawl than stand up and walk on a leash. Come on. So you can try that to sort of get them to crawl towards it and walk towards it. Good girl. That's a good girl, Molly. Good girl. And then you're just going to keep backing up a step at a time. Try not to throw it. Molly, come on, Molly. You want it? Come on. Come here. Good girl. Come on, Molly. So if you get them to take a couple of steps, you're doing really good. Good girl, Molly. Lots of praise. Good girl. That's a good girl. All right, you want some more? And this is, again, a slow process. It's something that you're just going a couple of steps at a time. Good girl. Good girl, Molly, Molly. Try and get them to come right to you. Come here. Come here. Come on, Molly, Molly. Good girl. Good girl. Oh, that's a good girl. Good girl. Yay. Molly, good girl. This is Molly's best ever. I'm glad she's doing it on camera for you guys. This is her best ever training session. Okay, so your goal is to get your dog to do a few steps. Now we've got a little cat competition, and that seems to be making Molly come a little bit faster. Come here, Molly, Molly. Good girl. Good girl. Come on. Oh. Come on. You want some? Come here. Now the goal is, come here, Molly, Molly. The goal is to try and get to the point where your dog will come to you while you're standing, because that's how you're going to be when you're walking. Come here. Molly. Molly. Come on, the kitty's gonna get your knee. Come here. Come on. Come on, Molly, Molly. Good girl. Come on. Hey, you. Come on. Good girl, Molly. Good girl, Molly. Good girl. Good girl. So eventually you're going to move on, and you want to be able to stand up and have your dog come to you. You're also going to back off on the treats after a while. Come here, Molly. Come here, Molly, Molly. Good girl. Molly's obviously not super motivated to do that, but you'll back off on the treats a little bit. You'll stand up, and you'll get your dog to come to you at these short distances, just a few feet at first. We have a cat who is easier to train than our dogs. So this is Oliver. So you're standing up, your dog's coming a few feet, and then you make those increments bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually you're able to walk across the yard with your dog. Now, you're not looking for perfect walking etiquette at this point. All you're looking for is that your dog is going to follow you while you're walking on a leash and walk around. Take poor little Molly off her leash so that she will start walking around a little bit. So you're not looking for proper etiquette. You just want your dog to be able to follow you around. If your dog is super timid like Molly, you can start inside we did start inside. Clearly, we still have some work to go, but we did start inside to keep the distractions down and to keep, especially Molly's a beagle, so smells are big for her. So we started inside, then you move outside, and once you're walking around the yard fairly well, then it's time to start working on some of those etiquette things. So if your dog is pulling, I am actually going to post a video later on this week about how to stop your dog from pulling on a leash, and the key to that is to stop. You yourself stop when your dog pulls, you stop, and then you turn and go in another direction. Because the problem with pulling is that that's how your dog is getting what he wants. He's pulling on the leash to go towards a person, towards another animal, towards whatever it is that he might want to be going towards, maybe towards the woods to go sniff. So what you want to do is stop and show your dog that you're not getting rewarded for pulling on the leash. You turn around and go in another direction. But again, I have a video coming later in the week, so if that's something you're interested in, you can check out that video. So the pulling, the other thing that you're going to want to do is teach your dog to walk next to you. And to do that, when you're just going around trying to get your dog to walk on the leash, you're kind of leaving that leash really slack, giving them a lot of space, and just sort of getting them, it's almost like follow the leader. You want them to follow you around the yard. So when you want them to walk next to you, you're going to cut the slack off of the leash, and you're just going to, if your dog's down here, the leash is right here, not so much so that you're like pulling up on them and choking on their neck or pulling up on their harness, but you give them very, very little slack. So really, the only place that they can go without pulling on the leash is right next to you. And again, lots of praise, lots of treats, just like when you're teaching your dog to come to you on the leash. A lot of praising, a lot of treats. You just go a couple of steps at a time. Get your dog to understand that that's what you're going for. You want to be walking with them, not having them in front of you. And that's a really good way to nip it in the bud, nip the pulling in the bud before that starts. Because if you're letting your dog kind of lead you around when you first teach them to walk, then that kind of starts the pulling habit. So if you can teach them right off the bat, once you get them comfortable walking on a leash, then you can teach them to walk next to you, and you probably won't have an issue with pulling if that's the case, if you can get that young enough. At the same time, if you adopt an adult dog, this may already be a bad habit, and you're going to have to work with that. So teaching your dog to walk on a leash takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of time. Now, these small sessions, like I was showing you with Molly, where we're just going a few steps and a few steps, that's not something that you're going to immediately, all in the same time, stand up and start walking around the yard. If your dog's comfortable with that, by all means, go as far as your dog will let you go. Ouch, stepped it off. So go as far as your dog will let you go in one training session, but if your dog is more timid like Molly, if they're not comfortable walking on a leash, do that for 5 or 10 minutes, get them comfortable with that, and then take a break and come back to it. And you can do these small increments of 5 and 10 minutes training sessions at a time for, maybe 2 or 3 times a day for multiple days in a row, and then you can move on to the next step when your dog is fully comfortable with that. So that's something to keep in mind. It's not one size fits all in any means. It's very much catered to your dog's individual needs. It's going to depend on your dog's energy level. It's going to depend on your dog's age, your dog's breed. So these are things that I can't tell you it's going to take you 5 15-minute sessions to get your dog to walk on a leash, or 3 days, 2 weeks. Obviously, again, for Molly, we have been working on this for months. It's something that she's just not comfortable with for whatever reason, and it's something that we've been working on for a long time. And then we have a chocolate lab who we got, again, from a puppy, and she was leash trained within the first month that we had her. She loves to go for walks. She's very, as you can tell from Molly, I'm not sure if you can see her in the frame, but she's just laying down right now. She's a very mellow dog. She's very sedentary, and our lab is go, 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 very high energy all the time. So she loved to go for walks. She was motivated not by the food, but just by the walk itself. So it's going to depend a lot on your dog how quickly this goes. But start with the harness or the collar, get them familiar with that, move on to the leash, and then of course the walking. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, be sure to reach out to me. You can email me anytime, Samantha@topdogtips.com. You can find us on social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. Any comments that you leave on our website, which is topdogtips.com, those will all get back to me, and I will be happy to answer any questions or help you guys. I really encourage you to jump onto our website. I post how-to videos every week, everything from grooming to walking and training to feeding your dog. So Jump on there. There's product reviews, product comparisons. There's lots of articles with other things on there as well. So be sure to jump on our website and check all of that stuff out. And if you can't find something that you're looking for, shoot me an email. I'm happy to help out, do whatever I can for you guys, make a video or publish an article if there's something that you're interested in that you can't find. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video on how to teach your dog to walk on a leash. And I will see you guys a little bit later on with a video on how to teach your dog not to pull on his leash. Thanks guys, have a great day.